You know what time it is. Woo! Get into it! Get into it! Yes! We are back! We are back! We are back! We are back with story time with Chris. Hi! And no, I do not own the music you're hearing in the background. That is brought to you by Mr. Ambiance. Yet again, bringing us some wonderful tunes for our time. Okay, that's better. Okay, so we're on the couch today. We're on the couch because we want to get comfortable, want to get cozy and enjoy our story time. Now, for those who were here yesterday, we did not finish our reading of Aladdin. If you're curious as to why we started a third book, you can go look on my more recent story as to the reasons as to why I did that, which is this is the true story of Aladdin, kind of breaking down traditional storytelling and people believing that um, people of color don't or shouldn't exist in the world of fantasy and fairy tales, when in reality they do, and even when their stories are adapted, they're not always adapted accurately. So what we do here at Storytime is that we dismantle those things and read the true stories for what they are so that we can make everyone feel included, because there's always room for people in this world. No matter what you look like, what you sound like, how you feel about it, everybody deserves a moment to shine. So, I'm gonna go ahead and get started. I already have my little bit of tea. And like I said, you do not have to watch these videos when they go live. You're more than welcome to watch them in your leisurely time. Like, share, subscribe, share with your friends. My birthday is coming up in, was it 12 days? I think it was 12 days. My birthday is coming up in 12 days. I'm super excited. And very grateful to see 31. It's a lot of new beginnings, a lot of new chapters, a lot of new worlds that I get to explore as I continue to grow and evolve. And let me tell you something, children. No matter how old you get, you always, and I mean always, have room to learn from someone, not just yourself. So whether it's someone older than you or younger than yourself, you always have room to learn, because life is about an infinitum of knowledge and pursuits that we can all benefit from. Okay? All right. Yep, y'all can see me. All right. Chapter 6, Ailanwi. Taran came to his senses on a pile of dirty straw, which smelled as though Gurgi and all his ancestors had slept on it. A few feet above him, pale yellow sunlight shone through a grating. The feeble beam ended abruptly on a wall of rough, damp stone. The shadows of bars lay across the tiny patch of light. Instead of brightening the cell, the wan rays made it appear only more grim and closed in. As Taran's eyes grew accustomed to this yellow twilight, he made out a heavy studded portal with a slot at the base. The cell itself was not more than 3 paces square. His head ached, since his hands were still bound behind him. He could do no more than guess at the large and throbbing lump. What had happened to Gwydion he dared not imagine. After the cauldron warrior had struck him, Taran had regained consciousness only a few moments before slipping once again into whirling darkness. Excuse me, my hair is luxurious. No, I'm just kidding. All right. In that brief time, he vaguely remembered opening his eyes and finding himself slung over a guard's back. His confused recollection included a dim corridor with doors on either side. Gwydion had called out to him once, or so Taran believed. He could not recall his friend's words, perhaps even that he had been part of the nightmare. He supposed Gwydion had been cast in another dungeon. Taran fervently hoped so. He could not shake off the memory of Akren's livid face and horrible screaming, and he feared she might have ordered Gwydion slain. Still, there was a good reason to hope his companion lived. Akren could easily have cut his throat as he braved her in the council hall, yet she had held back. Thus she intended to keep Gwydion alive. Perhaps Taran thought wretchedly Gwydion would be better off dead. The idea of the proud figure laying a broken corpse filled Taran with grief that quickly turned to rage. He staggered to his feet, lurched to the door, kicking it, battering himself against it with what little strength remained to him. In despair, he sank to the damp ground, his head pressed against the unyielding oaken planks. He rose again after a few moments and kicked at the walls. If Gwydion were by chance in an adjoining cell, Taran hoped he would hear his signal, but he judged, from the dull and muffled sound, that the walls were too thick for his feeble tapping to penetrate. As he turned away, a flashing object flew through the grating and dropped to the stone floor. Taran stopped. Oh. Hold on. My apologies, y'all. I got a notification. Sorry. Back to the story. Taran stooped. It was a ball of what seemed to be gold. Perplexed, he looked on upward. From the grating, a pair of intensely blue eyes looked back at him. "Please," said a girl's voice, light and musical. "My name is Ilanwe, and if you don't mind, would you throw my bauble to me? I don't want you to think that I'm a baby playing with a silly bauble, because I'm not. But sometimes there's absolutely nothing else to do around here, and it slipped out of my hands when I was tossing it." "Little girl," Taran interrupted, "I don't—" "But I'm not a little girl," Ilanwe protested. "Haven't I just been and finished telling you? Are you slow-witted? I'm so sorry for you. It's terrible to be dull and stupid. What's your name?" She went on. "It makes me feel funny not knowing someone's name. Wrong-footed, you know. Or as if I had 3 thumbs on one hand. If you see what I mean. It's clumsy." "I am Taran of Caerdalban," Taran said, then wished he had not. Thus he realized could be another trap. "That's lovely," Ilanwe said gaily. "I'm very glad to meet you. I suppose you're a lord, or a warrior, or a war leader, or a bard, or a monster, though we haven't had any monsters for a long time." "I am none of those," said Taran, feeling quite flattered that Ilanwe should have taken him for any one of them. "What else is there?" "I'm an assistant pig-keeper," Taran said. He bit his lip as soon as the words came out, then to excuse his loose tongue, told himself it could do no harm for the girl to know that much. "How fascinating," Ilanwe said. "You're the first we've ever had, unless that poor fellow in the other dungeon is one too." "Tell me of him," Taran said quickly. "Is he alive?" "I don't know," said Ilanwe. "I peeked through the grating, but I couldn't tell. He doesn't move at all, but I should imagine he is alive. Otherwise, Akren would have fed him to the ravens. Now, please, if you don't mind, it's right at your feet." "I can't pick up your bubble," Taran said, "because my hands are tied." The blue eyes looked surprised. "Oh, well, that would account for it. And I suppose I'll have to come in and get it." "You can't come in and get it," said Taran wearily. "Don't you see I'm locked up in here?" "Of course I do," said Ilanwe. "What would be the point of having someone in a dungeon if they were locked up? Really, Taran of Caerdalban, you surprise me with some of your remarks. I don't mean to hurt your feelings by asking, but is assistant pig-keeper the kind of work that calls for a great deal of intelligence?" Something beyond the grating and out of Taran's vision swooped down, and the blue eyes disappeared suddenly. Taran heard what he took to be a scuffle, then a high-pitched little shriek, followed by a larger shriek and a moment or two of loud smacking. The blue eyes did not reappear. Taran flung himself back on the straw. After a time, in the dreadful silence and loneliness of the tiny cell, he began to wish Ilanwe would come back. She was the most confusing person he had ever met, and surely as wicked as everyone else in the castle. Although he could not quite bring himself to believe it completely, nevertheless he longed for the sound of another voice, even Ilanwe's prattling. The grating above his head darkened. Night poured into the cell in a black, chilly wave. The slot in the heavy portal rattled open. Taran heard something being slid into the cell and crawled toward it. It was a shallow bowl. He sniffed carefully and finally ventured to touch his tongue to it, fearing all the while that it might be poisoned food. It was not food at all, but only a little water, warm and musty. His throat was so parched that Taran disregarded the taste, thrust his face into the bowl, drank it. Which, to be honest with you, I'm not going to drink just any type of water. If it's smelling musty, which is stinky, I think I'm gonna pass. I think I'm gonna just wait till we get out of the cell. I'm gonna wait till we get out of the dungeon. I would rather go thirsty than to drink that. I'm just saying. You all can choose your poison. It's not for me. It's not for me. He curled up and tried to sleep away his pain. The tight thongs pinched, but his swollen hands were mercifully numb. The thongs around his hands, the rope of thongs that are holding his hands together. Sleep brought only nightmares, and he roused to find himself shouting aloud. He settled down once more. Now there was a rasping sound under the straw. Tarn stumbled to his feet. The rasping grew louder. Move away. Huh? Move away, cried a faint voice. Tarn looked around him dumbfounded. Get off the stone! He stepped backward. The voice was coming from the straw. Well, I can't lift it with you standing on it, you silly assistant pig keeper, the muffled voice complained. Frightened and puzzled, Tarn jumped to the wall. The pallet began rising upward. A loose flagstone was lifted, pushed aside, and a slender shadow emerged as if from the ground itself. Who are you? Tarn shouted. Who do you expect? Said the voice of Eilonwe. And please, don't make such a racket. I told you I was coming back. Oh, there's my bubble. The shadow bent and picked up the luminous ball. Where are you? Cried Tarn. I can't see nothing. I can see nothing. Is that what's bothering you? Eilonwe asked. Why didn't you say so in the first place? Instantly, a bright light filled the cell. It came from the golden sphere in the girl's hand. Tarn blinked with amazement. What is that? He cried. It's my bauble, said Eilonwe. How many times do I have to tell you? But it lights up. What do you think it would do? Turn into a bird and fly away? Eilonwe, as the bewildered Tarn saw for the first time, had in addition to blue eyes, long hair of reddish gold reaching to her waist. Her face, though smudged, was delicate, elfin, with high cheekbones. Her short white robe, mud-stained, was girdled with silver links. A crescent moon of silver hung from a fine chain around her neck. She was 1 or 2 years younger than he, but quite fully as tall. Eilonwe put the glowing sphere on the floor, went quickly to Tarn, and unknotted the thongs that bound him. I meant to come back sooner, Eilonwe said, but Akren caught me talking to you. She started to give me a whipping. I bit her. Then she locked me in one of the chambers, deep underground. Eilonwe went on, pointing to the flagstones. There are hundreds of them under Spiral Castle, and all kinds of galleries and little passages, like a honeycomb. Akren didn't build them. This castle, they say, once belonged to a great king. She thinks she knows all the passageways, but she doesn't. She hasn't been in half of them. Can you imagine Akren going through a tunnel? She's older than she looks, you know, Eilonwe giggled. But I know everyone, and most of them connect with each other. It took me longer in the dark, though. Perhaps because I didn't have my bauble. You mean you live in this terrible place? Tarn asked. Naturally, Eilonwe said. You don't imagine I'd want to visit here, do you? Is Akren your mother? Tarn gasped and drew back fearfully. Certainly not, cried the girl. I am Eilonwe, daughter of... Hold on 1 second, because I'm going to have to pronounce this properly, so bear with me. Angharad. Angharad, daughter of Regat, daughter of... Oh, it's such a bother going through all that. My ancestors, she said proudly, are the Sea People. I am the blood of Lear Half-Speech, the Sea King. Akren is my aunt, though sometimes I don't think she's really my aunt after all. Then what are you doing here? I said I live here, Eilonwe answered. It must take a lot of explaining before you understand anything. My parents died and my kinsmen sent me here so Akren could teach me to be an enchantress. It's a family tradition, don't you see? The boys are war leaders and the girls are enchantresses. Akren is in league with Arorn of Anuven, cried Tarn. She is an evil, loathsome creature. Oh, everybody knows that, said Eilonwe. Sometimes I wish my kinsmen had sent me to someone else, but I think they must have forgotten about me by now. She noticed a deep slash on his arm. Where did you get that? She asked. I don't think you know much about fighting if you let yourself get knocked down about and cut up so badly. but I don't imagine assistant pig keepers are often called on to do that sort of thing. The girl tore a strip from the hem of her robe and began binding Taran's wound. I've done that for a friend twice in life, where a friend had cut their hand. Um, my friend Willie had sprained his ankle really, really badly, and I was one of the few people who were able to wrap his foot to where it was supported so he could be able to walk. That goes to show reading is fundamental because I learned about first aid through books. Just saying. I didn't let myself be cut up, Tarn said angrily. That's Aurora's doing, or your aunt's. I don't know which, and I don't care. One is no better than the other. I hate Akren, Alanwe burst out. She is a mean, spiteful person. Of all the people who come here, you're the only one who's the least bit agreeable to talk to. She had you damaged. That's not the end of it, Tarn said. She means to kill my friend. Ooh, excuse me. If she does that, said Ilanwe, I'm sure she'll include you. Akren doesn't do things by halves. Excuse me. It would be a shame if you were killed. I should be very sorry. I know I would like it to happen to me. Ilanwe, listen, Taran interrupted. If there are tunnels and passages of the castle, can you get to the other cells? Is there a way outside? Of course there is, Ilanwe said. If there's a way in, there's to be a way out. Doesn't there? Will you help us? Taran asked. It is important for us to be free of this place. Will you show us the passage? Let you escape. Ilanwe giggled. Wouldn't Akren be furious at that? She tossed her head. It would serve her right for whipping me and trying to lock me up. Yes, she went on, her eyes dancing. That's a wonderful idea. I would love to see her face when she comes down to find you. Yes, that would be more fun than anything I can think of. Can you imagine? Listen carefully, Taran said. Is there a way you could take me to my companion? Ilanwe shook her head. That would be very hard to do. You see, some of the galleries connect with the ones leading to the cells. When you try to go across, what happens is that you start to run into passages that... Never mind then, Taran said. Can I join him in one of the passages? I don't see why you would want to do that, said the girl. It would be so much simpler if I could just go and let him out and have him wait for you beyond the castle. I don't understand why you want to complicate things. It's bad enough for 2 people crawling about, but with 3 you can imagine what that would be, and you can't possibly find your way by yourself. Very well, said Taran impatiently. Free my companion first. I only hope he is well enough to move. If he isn't, you must come and tell me right away, and I'll think of some means of carrying him. And there is a white horse. Excuse me, this is Taran's voice, sorry. And there is a white horse, Melangar, Taran went on. I don't know what's been done with her. She would be in the stable, Ilanwe said. Isn't that where you'd usually find a horse? Please, Taran said. You must get her too, and weapons for us. Will you do that? Ilanwe nodded quickly. Yes, that should be very exciting, she giggled again. She picked up the glowing ball, cupped it in her hands, and once again the cell was dark. The stone grated shut, and only Ilanwe's silvery laugh lingered behind. Taran paced back and forth. For the first time he felt some hope, though he wondered how he would count on this scatterbrained girl. She was likely to forget what she started out to do. Worse, she might betray him to Akren. It might be another trap, a new torment that promised him freedom, only to snatch it away. But even so, Taran decided that they could be no worse off. To save his energy, he lay down on the straw and tried to relax. His bandaged arm no longer pained him. And while he was hungry and thirsty, the water he had drunk had taken some of the edge from his discomfort. He had no idea excuse me, how long it would take to travel through the underground galleries. But as time passed, he grew more anxious. He worked at the flagstone the girl had used. It would not move, though Taran's efforts bloodied his fingers. He sank again into dark, endless waiting. Ilanwe did not return. And that is where we will end for today. Yes, Taran is in a bit of a pickle, but like great heroes in a story, the journey is never easy. If it was easy, everybody would do it. So, I bid you all good night. See you later. Be good to each other. I'll see you next time.